Hey everybody, welcome back to the Salerno podcast. Today I am doing a mini episode. This is not going to be a full episode because my episode that was supposed to go out last week ended up going out this week, and I just got way too much. I don't want to get behind on editing another full episode for this week, so this is just going to be a shorter episode. I wanted to talk about D23. There is an article that I wrote for Blaze News that will be coming out in a few weeks that kind of expounds on my general thoughts about D23 and other certain projects that came out this past weekend from D23. But I wanted to cover just a few things that either piqued my interest or I thought were interesting. My vibe of the whole event in general was that Disney is making a lot of interesting promises with this new content. The question is, will it be enough to fend off Nelson Peltz, another proxy war? Is it enough to convince us, the audience, that Disney is trying to win our trust back and a new non-woke Disney era may yet be upon us? We can certainly hope, but no guarantees at this point. We've been very lucky that Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine, both under Disney, have grossed $1 billion and may show that Marvel and not Marvel, Disney as a whole might be moving towards a less divisive direction overall. But we still have a lot of projects that we know are going to be divisive, that we know are from a different way of thinking when it comes to entertaining people. Some of those projects were highlighted this past week, so we still have some crap to get through. But in the words of Chris Gore, this is, if Disney is actually on the process of cleaning house and getting back to the sane and normal center when it comes to entertainment, it's going to take at least 2 or 3 years before we see actual change. But I mean, we could start seeing change with some of these new projects that were announced. Of course, I want to talk about Toy Story 5 because I love Toy Story. I'm a huge Toy Story fan. I will always be open for a Toy Story sequel as long as the right people are involved and as long as the right story is being told. There's never been a bad Toy Story movie, and I don't think what we've seen so far from Toy Story 5 is indicating it's going to be bad. We'll talk about that near the end. We'll save the best for last. To the best of my memory, I'm going to try to go through the whole night, and I'm not going to cover everything. I'm just going to breeze through some of these things. So I believe the first thing that was talked about was Moana 2. Now, I need to do a full episode on this, but I do have somebody reached out to me who allegedly has connections to Disney and told me some things about the movie. I am going to cover that in a full episode, probably next week. I really liked this trailer, and I can't believe I am saying this, but I actually think that Bob Iger might pull off the impossible in making a Disney Plus sort of kiddish Moana series into something that is epic, something that looks fun, emotional, beautifully animated, and worthy of the title Moana 2. I really like the trailer. I think the villain is interesting. It's this giant storm. Maui's back. I think there's something really endearing about Moana being a big sister, and that big sister little sister relationship, just from a character standpoint. I just think that's very I don't know, it's just nice to see, and I think it'll endear Moana even more to the audience, that you know, she's not just fighting for her family, she's fighting for this new member of her family that is small and innocent. It's nice to see. We haven't seen a relationship like this, at least from my recollection. I haven't seen a relationship like this in a mainstream Disney animated movie in a while. maybe with the exception of Frozen. It's just nice to see a big sister, little sister relationship. I think it's gonna be a cute cute aspect of the story. But yeah, I think they opened D23 with Moana 2. And then Dwayne Johnson announced that he's making a Monster Jam movie with Disney. I didn't know Disney had the rights to Monster Jam. Apparently they do. They got into Pixar, and they talked about Dream Productions, which is an Inside Out spin-off series, which, good timing. It's coming out early next year, I believe. Good timing to capitalize on the success of Inside Out 2. I'm not sure if that had to have been in development for a while, or they just pulled it together after seeing that Inside Out 2 was going to be a big success. I don't know, but we haven't really seen much of it. They just talked about it a little bit. I don't even know the full details, but hey, Inside Out 2 is a perfectly profitable, successful franchise now. I would love to see them further explore this world in spin-offs and sequels and stuff like that, as long as they don't tell a bad story. Pixar, obviously, they announced Toy Story 5. We'll talk about Toy Story 5 last. They announced a new film titled Hoppers, which is about a young girl who transfers her consciousness into a robotic beaver, I believe, to save the animal kingdom from a businessman trying to build some sort of housing development. It's a very, very typical sounding plot, but it sounds like a gutsy, sort of science fiction-y, funny Pixar concept that only Pixar could come up. It just, I don't know. It's indicative of old-fashioned Pixar to me. And I don't know. I've been a lifelong fan of Pixar, and I couldn't really tell you like what constitutes like an old-fashioned concept. But you know, a lot of people will say that Pixar movies are basically like, oh, what if insert thing here had a soul or emotions? What if robots had emotions? What if toys had emotions? What if fish had emotions? What if emotions had emotions? But it's, I don't know, it's just a really quirky, science fiction-y, I guess, idea, transferring consciousness into a robotic animal so that that child can know what it's like to live amongst animals. It's fun. It just sounds like a really inventive idea and actually piques my interest, which is surprising because honestly, I don't remember the last time I was excited for an original Pixar movie, and I'm excited for Hoppers, so we'll see what becomes of it. It looks fun. They talked about Elio. They didn't really reveal anything groundbreaking, at least as far as I'm concerned. They announced that Zoe Saldana is joining the cast. I think there are rumors that the director of Turning Red was going to replace the original director, and I don't think that was confirmed. I may be wrong on that. I didn't see anything. Nothing came across my Twitter feed or any of the reports I was reading. So that's it on Elio. It's coming out June 2025. I don't know. It doesn't look great. It doesn't really look like a Pixar movie, but I'll give it a chance. You know, it's part of an older Pixar, so we'll see if it holds up to the same standards or if it's another Turning Red. The big thing Pixar announced outside of Toy Story 5 details was that they're making Incredibles 3. And I am both very excited and very nervous about this, because one, Brad Bird is coming back to direct and write the movie, but also Brad Bird also did Incredibles 2, follow up Incredibles 1. And to his credit, he lost a lot of production time because they switched his release date with Toy Story 4's. And, you know, I think the better film won. I will always choose Toy Story 4 over any other movie. But if Incredibles 3 is going to redeem some of the, I don't know, some of the quality, the different quality that came of Incredibles 2, it's a welcome addition, because gosh, I did not like Incredibles 2. I was very high on it when I walked out of the theater, and just having revisited it, I just don't think it's a great movie. Doesn't come together in the way that it's supposed to. The ending is just kind of a disappointment. The whole thing was kind of a disappointment. But I hope Incredibles 3 is a return to form, and that it's emotional, it's action-packed, and it's classic Incredibles. I believe they moved into the Disney Animation Studios, Walt Disney Animation Studios panel from there, or segment. And they talked about Zootopia 2. We got the plot. Apparently, it's another mystery film involving a reptile being voiced by Ke Huy Quan. I'm excited for Zootopia 2. I like the first Zootopia. I don't remember the plot details very well of what they revealed for Zootopia 2, but I'm sure it's going to be fun. I'm sure it's going to be fine. They're showing quite a bit of stuff at I believe they showed a clip or a trailer, and that's coming out next year, I believe. Yeah, next year. They also talked about Frozen 3, that it is happening. The story that they came up with for Frozen 3 is so big that they had to split it into 2 films. That's why we're getting a Frozen 4. There was an interesting piece of concept art that kind of teased what new thing they would be tackling, and maybe a sneak peek at the villain. It's very interesting. I think Frozen 2 opened up that world to being more than just kind of a ditzy Disney princess style franchise. I mean, Frozen 2 visually and even emotionally to an extent went dark. And I wonder if they're going to go darker with Frozen 3 and 4, or if they're going to ride the line between the first and the second. It's very hard to tell, but, they could go pretty big. And again, I don't even think we necessarily need a Frozen 3 or 4. I think Frozen 2 ended things on a pretty satisfying note, but money talks. Money talks. Trying to think of what else they announced. They announced so much, so many interesting titles, so many exciting titles, and so many things that just, are causing the internet an uproar. One of which, of course, is Snow White. So the first trailer for Snow White was released, and it's being ratioed into oblivion right now online. I like Rachel Zegler. I think she was fantastic as Maria in West Side Story. She's not Snow White. Disney shot themselves in the foot trying to cast somebody who obviously does not look like Snow White in any way. That's not Rachel Zegler's fault. That's Disney's fault for putting her in that position. And then there's the whole dwarves controversy, where they refused to cast dwarves because of some stupid comment Peter Dinklage said. And then they cast this biracial group of magical people wearing Old Navy clothes. It just was a horrible, horrible image. And one dwarf in the cast of that group. And then they decided to scrap all that. And then they replaced them with CGI dwarves. So now not even real dwarves get to be in the movie. So nobody wins. And I guess it was cheaper to just CGI the dwarves and make them as visually similar to the original characters as possible, which is just silly. It's just, the whole thing is silly. And then people are saying online that, Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And, it's no competition that, all due respect to Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot is insanely attractive, insanely beautiful person. And it's didn't do the best job there. I would maybe have avoided casting, casting both of them maybe, but if you're going to cast Gal Gadot as the evil queen, I don't know, make her older? I don't know what you do in that problem. Gosh, I just feel bad for Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler. It's going to be an interesting marketing campaign for this movie, for sure. The trailer was not good. Lack of CGI, or lack of live action in the CGI movie. It just feels like a very soulless remake. And a lot of those remakes seem soulless and are soulless, but this one in particular I think is going to be very interesting. they announced Freaky Friday 2. I like Freaky Friday. It's a fun comedy, honestly, like a fun mother-daughter family comedy, and I think didn't necessarily think that they could do a sequel between that and like something like Princess Diaries 3 or something. Like those are the kind of movies that a lot of women have been requesting a lot of. You know, guys want Toy Story 5 and Incredibles 3, and girls want Freaky Friday 2 and Princess Diaries 3. I'm looking forward to it, though. They got the whole original cast back, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, because that was a genuinely great movie in a really great period of time for Disney. Yeah, I remember really enjoying that one growing up. Okay, one movie that I have some mixed feelings on. The third installment in the Tron series. Tron Ares. Now this is going to follow a new character named Ares, played by Jared Leto. He's going to be venturing out into the real world from the grid, and he wants to make our world his world. Now, I say mixed feelings because Jared Leto can be kind of a wild card as far as an actor, and especially as a producer. I think he produced this movie. But he's playing a villain, which is interesting. They've also they've kind of given fans an olive branch and a sign of goodwill by bringing back Jeff Bridges as Kevin Flynn in the movie, which is going to be very interesting considering a lot of people speculated that he died in Tron Legacy. Spoilers for Tron Legacy. But apparently he didn't die. Apparently he was still kicking around in the grid, and he's remanifested himself. Hopefully this will mean that we'll get to see, in some capacity, the return of Sam Flynn, played by Garrett Hedlund, and Cora, played by Olivia Wilde. I think a lot of fans have been dying to see the future of the future of that franchise post Tron Legacy. It's a shame that they didn't capitalize on the success of Top Gun Maverick, greenlight Tron 3 almost immediately, and bring back Joseph Kosinski. Oh my gosh, missed opportunity. I believe they got the guy who directed Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Not a great mark of quality, unfortunately, but he's directing this movie. Jared Leto starring in it. Greta Lee, Evan Peters, he's playing a descendant of the Dillingers, who was the villain in the first Tron movie, so connecting from the past. I like that. It's a very interesting, the footage leaked, I saw a little bit of it. It's a very interesting trailer. I'm intrigued, I'm excited. It seems like a very, dare I say, darker, more sinister Tron installment. There's a red aesthetic to everything. The logo has been redesigned. I am excited because I love Tron, and I love that world, and I am excited for the opportunity to get to revisit it after, 15 years. 15 years, good Lord, man alive. 15 years. I remember seeing Tron Legacy in the theater. I was a dork. I had a black hoodie, and I taped it up with lime green duct tape to make myself look like a program. It was days after the movie had come out, but I was that excited to see Tron Legacy. I'm excited for this movie. I'm a little cautious of what we're going to get, how this will hopefully create a path for future Tron movies. And I think a lot of fans just want to know, like, is Tron finally going to be at the center of the movie? Unlike Tron Legacy? Are we going to bring back the actual, like, signature character of the franchise and make him part of this story? Who knows? God willing. Okay, I don't remember what else I wanted to... Oh, gosh, I'm forgetting. Marvel and Star Wars, of course. They talked about Daredevil Born Again. Footage looks great. Can't wait for Daredevil Born Again. I have really nothing to say. Just, I'm super excited for that. They talked about Ironheart. They talked about Captain America Brave New World. They showed off some footage. Red Hulk, he looks great. Again, Marvel and Star Wars, or Marvel and Lucasfilm, they're putting out some crappier, less anticipated shows and movies that we're just going to have to get through before we get to the good stuff, and hopefully they are good. Star Wars released trailers for, or released a sneak peek of Andor Season 2. They confirmed a lot of characters from Rogue One are going to be coming back to bridge the gap between Andor and Rogue One. They talked about, they showed the trailer for Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I'm going to say what everyone else has been saying. I think suburbia Star Wars looks really weird, and it does not fit. I mean, that was kind of the idea of Tatooine. Like, Tatooine was this fantasy-based, like, suburbia, obviously a very remote, almost countryside place, but, like, that was kind of what it was supposed to be. Like, you know, every kid lives in a lot of kids live in suburbs, or, you know, even out in the country, and they dream of going beyond. I think the visuals of Star Wars in a suburb-like community or suburb-like environment, I think it's just too on the nose. I really think it was a mistake to do that. I understand what they're trying to invoke. It just didn't work. I think the rest of the series looks great. I'm sure it's going to be fine. I'm actually excited about this concept. I think it's wildly inventive. It's fresh. The trailer has a lot of heart to it. I'm cautiously optimistic about this. It's removed from anything like based within the lore of Star Wars, at least for as far as we know. You know, you could see Han Solo show up or whatever. I don't know. I wouldn't be disappointed if they do it in a good way. But Star Wars just needs to get their identity back. They need to get Kathleen Kennedy out. They need to get her out. Unless it's something from Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, I'm not particularly interested. I'm gonna give Andor a chance one of these days. Not the Acolyte. Yeah. Oh, we got a sneak peek of Mandalorian and Grogu. Nothing really to write home about as far as the footage goes. They confirmed that Zeb, who made his debut in live action in Season 3, is going to be, I guess, a supporting character in this new movie, which is exciting. Hopefully the rumors of Luke Skywalker being involved are true as well. We don't really know anything about the plot, the story, what's going to happen. I hope it's not just fetch quests Mandalorian Season 4. I hope it's like an actual movie. I love the Mandalorian. I love the character. I love the relationship between him and Grogu. I know some people have kind of turned on the Mandalorian. I think that's just ridiculous. It's a fantastic show. Season 3 had its high points, had its low points, but it was ultimately... it was a thing. But 2 out of 3 seasons that are fantastic, and I am greatly looking forward to seeing these characters on the big screen. And just a Star Wars movie on the big screen. That's the big thing. Okay, let's finish this up with the thing that I have been dying to talk about, Toy Story 5. So we finally got our first full and proper look at Toy Story 5. And I have some thoughts. So the movie is confirmed to be directed by Andrew Stanton, who has directed Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, WALL-E. He's written almost every Toy Story movie. He knows that world so well, and at least as far as the old guard that is still around at Pixar, I could not think of a better person to direct Toy Story 5, next to Pete Docter, but obviously he's busy running the studio. And they said the movie is going to mainly tackle toys versus technology, showcased with a concept art image of Bonnie with her head under the sheets playing with what looks like an iPad, and featuring Slinky, Rex, Woody, Ham, Jessie, Bullseye, Buzz, and Forky looking on with sadness and concern on their faces. They also revealed that a antagonist, not the antagonist, but a antagonist that will be causing trouble for the toys in the movie is a army of 50 commemorative Buzz Lightyears stuck in play mode. Now, it's interesting to say commemorative Buzz Lightyears. That distinguishes it from being normal Buzz Lightyear toys. So maybe this is a part of like some sort of anniversary collection, like these like specialty 1 in 50 Buzz Lightyear toys that are being shipped out, and they all go AWire because of technology or whatever. It should be interesting. It should be fun. It'll kind of a homage, I guess, to Toy Story 2 with the two Buzzes. As long as Buzz, the signature Buzz, is not malfunctioning and he actually gets a proper plot or a proper character arc and a story connected to him and Woody, I'll be happy with that. I think some of these details were released just to appease people who wanted to know what Toy Story 5 is all about. I think there is a lot about this film that they're still keeping under wraps. There are still the rumors. There was a big rumor that came out a couple months ago, or even last year, that the film was going to be about the toys returning to Andy and Andy's kids being introduced, and that they were specifically going to replace Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head with new voice actors so they could be integrated into the film as well. And it seems like, based on the teaser trailer, the little sneak peek we got, which was just the iPhone little widgets of Woody, Buzz, and Jessie coming up to the camera. That's not actual footage, rendered footage from the movie. That is just, again, the iPhone widgets. I thought that was footage, and I thought they looked really weird, like, because Pixar did a phenomenal job with Toy Story 4, aging up the animation, giving them dents and grooves and marks and scuffs, show that they've been played with. And that was not here in this image, but that was the reason why. But the presence of Jessie in both the concept art and this little teaser, as well as some of the original cast members plus Forky, leads me to believe that they are going to try to, this is kind of sort of an apology, I guess, for Toy Story 4 not including that original cast as much as they should have, because a lot of people didn't like that they focused on a new crew with Woody, Buzz, Forky, Bo Peep, Duke Kaboom, and Ducky and Bunny, and Giggle McDimples. Look, it was a story. They were telling a certain story, and I think it worked in the way that it did. It was about Woody learning to discover a new journey without the family that he's grown up with. I think it works, but I definitely was missing the presence of the whole cast being present. And hopefully, like, at the end of the day, I'm a Buzz and Woody guy. As long as the two of them get a decent amount of screen time together and that they both have great character arcs, I think I'm always going to be happy. But a lot of people were saying that the lack of details with this just being what the movie's going to be about is really disappointing or concerning. But again, like, we don't know what else is in this movie. The Andy rumors could still be true. We don't know how that's going to be integrated into the story, if at all. I still think it very well could be. But obviously they're going to explain how Woody comes back. I'm sure Bo Peep will be back in the movie. I don't think they're going to bring back Duke Kaboom and Ducky and Bunny and Giggle McDimples. I mean, maybe they'll bring back Giggle McDimples. I don't know. But I'd like to think that Ducky and Bunny and Duke Kaboom have, like, they're off doing something else in other part of the world. And they've gone on to greener pastures or whatever. And that Bo Peep and Woody are sticking together after all these years. It'll be interesting to see. I honestly didn't think we would get a Toy Story 5. I've always kind of held hope that Pixar would always do another one if the story is right. But I'm always satisfied. I was satisfied with Toy Story 4 being the end, absolute end. But I still think if they do this one, they need to end it. I don't think they should keep going and risking, one, this perfect streak of movies, and two, risk doing these phenomenal endings and kind of giving people whiplash of, like, oh, it ended really well here, or it ended really well here, why keep going? But on another end, you have to keep in mind, Pixar does not make movies for sequels, but they don't make movies to definitively end. Like, technically, when they made Toy Story 1, they didn't expect to make a Toy Story 2. When they made Toy Story 2, they didn't expect to make a Toy Story 3. When they made Toy Story 3, they didn't expect to make a Toy Story 4. They make movies as if it's going to be their last movie. That is how they operate. That is like a mantra to the Pixar model. And I appreciate that because the movies can stand on their own. You don't have to turn on Toy Story 2 and feel like you are obligated now to watch Toy Story 3. And so with any of the movies, you can turn them on and turn them off as you please. I love that about these movies. I think it makes them stand on their own as better films. But just because they have really good definitive endings does not mean that the story is over. Especially when the creators are saying that. Andrew Stanton, I believe, he was the one that said that he never saw Toy Story 3 as an ending to the Toy Story franchise or the Toy Story world. He saw it as the end of Andy's story, but like the continuation of the toys. Their adventures together would still continue. And that Toy Story 4 was the beginning of the Bonnie years. And how Toy Story 5 will bridge into that, I don't know. But again, you have one of the gatekeepers of this franchise directing the 5th film. So I have full confidence that they're going to justify this movie's existence, that they're going to justify how this is going to bridge back to Toy Story 4, that the technology aspect, that the 50 commemorative Buzz Lightyears, the army of Buzz Lightyears is going to fit in. And if the Andy rumors are true, how Andy and his kids are going to fit into all this too. But I continue to wait with bated breath for this movie. It comes out June of 2026. I don't remember the exact. Maybe June 20th, 2026, which would make it only one day before the anniversary of Toy Story 4, if I'm not mistaken, because I believe June 21st, 2019 was when Toy Story 4 was released. Almost certain of that. But yeah, I was very satisfied with what we have. It's enough to satiate me until we get closer to hopefully getting a teaser and more. It's assumed Tom Hanks is coming back. Tim Allen has been saying all sorts of things about Toy Story 5, and that he's coming back, and that he's known about Toy Story 5 for years. Tom Hanks has been playing a little coy. I mean, no one's asked him, but I'm sure he'll get asked for interviews in upcoming movies. I think he's got a new movie coming up this year that I'm sure he'll get asked about Toy Story 5. But yeah, that was the big thing for me, Toy Story. And all in all, again, you can read this in my article, but I think Disney still has a lot to prove. They got a lot of highly anticipated things coming up, but they still have a lot to prove that they are truly pushing away from the divisiveness within the culture war, and that they are going to stick to telling stories for all audiences of all creeds, of all races, of all religions, of all political affiliations. They're going to stick to being an entertainment company for everybody. That's all we want them to do, especially on the Marvel and Star Wars front, because they need it desperately. Oh, and one more thing. They announced the title for Avatar 3, Avatar Fire and Ash. It wasn't that rumored title that they came out with a long time ago, unless they changed it. And, you know, Avatar's hit and miss with me. I enjoy those movies. I'm not a huge fan, but I do enjoy watching them. I thought Avatar 2 was really good. It was definitely worth the wait. And it's James Cameron, man. Avatar 3 hopefully will be another fun time. We'll see. That was my little mini-sode for you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for watching as always. If you like this episode, please hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can check out more episodes as well as my short films. Also, you can subscribe to my podcast on Apple and Spotify and wherever you listen to podcasts.